An emotional farewell to Colonel MN Rai, the martyr of the Tral encounter. The cremation ceremony is underway at Delhi's cantonment area. His family breaking down as they pay respects to their brave hearts who brought down two Hizbul Mujahideen militants. Army Chief Dalbir Singh Suhag is also expected there at the Delhi canton a short while from now. Several top defence officials are already there paying their last respects. Colonel Maninder Nath Rai, the commanding officer of 42 Rashtriya Rifles, will be cremated after he was martyred along with one policeman in an encounter with Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist in Tral area of Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday evening. The brave soldier was in fact honoured with the Yudh Sena medal on Republic Day. He was killed a day later. These are pictures that we're getting you of Colonel Maninder Nath Rai's father, Nagendra Rai. Family bidding an extremely emotional farewell to their son, a brave soldier. Colonel Maninder Nath Rai and two of his brothers are all officers working with security forces. That's an emotional father there paying the last respects to his son. In fact, Nagendra Rai had also spoken to headlines today, a few days ago. Let's listen into that.
बिल्कुल सीधे साधे और जेंटल प्रकृति के थे। क्रोध नाम की कोई चीज उनके पास नहीं थी और सच्चे और ईमानदार थे।
On your screen is the family of Colonel Maninder Nath Rai. An extremely emotional farewell to an officer who laid down his life for the country while battling terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. On our screens are pictures of Nagendra Rai, the father of Colonel Maninder Nath Rai, commanding officer for 42 Rashtriya Rifles, who laid down his life while fighting terrorists on Tuesday evening. Gaurav Sawant is there at the Brar Square in Delhi Cant. Gaurav, there are reports that say that the martyr's WhatsApp status a few weeks back had read, "Make your role so worthy in life that people applaud even after the curtains fall." That really describes the principles by which Colonel MN Rai lived his life.
He indeed did. In fact, I was speaking to some of the officers who had served with him in South Kashmir and some who had served with him earlier. And they spoke of this man who was, in army's parlance, very OG, very olive green, dyed-in-wool soldier, someone who was very clear about what the bigger aim was. He wouldn't just, there is a mentality, there's a tendency sometimes that you just do your job and that's the end of it. Finish your 2-year tenure and that's the end of it. In this case, he wanted to do something different. He always used to tell his troops that, you should not die for your country, you should make the other chap die for his cause, and safety of his own men was always very important to him. That is how one of his colleagues described him in operations. He would meticulously plan every operation, Colonel MN Rai. And I was speaking to one of his superiors about the operation, where I asked him, how is it that a full colonel was awarded a Yudh Seva medal? A Yudh Seva medal is usually awarded to brigadiers, and an Uttam Yudh Seva medal to major generals, because this is not a gallantry medal, this is a war planning medal, when you do meticulous planning of an operation. Now, when they were talking about Colonel MN Rai, they said that as a full colonel in this area, he planned an operation the previous year in which not only were 4 hardcore terrorists killed, but 9 overground workers were arrested and an entire terror infrastructure had to be dismantled by the Hizbul Mujahideen. And this was an operation that wasn't just restricted to his own battalion of the Gurkha Rifles or 42 Rashtriya Rifles. This was an operation that had the involvement of several other battalions. So here was a commanding officer of a battalion who was planning an operation which involved far superior officers and far superior manpower, and yet he did it so meticulously and so successfully that his superiors were impressed with him and they recommended him for a YSM that had been announced just the previous day. In the past also he's been recommended for gallantry medals because he would personally lead operations. Another aspect about him, in Jammu and Kashmir, he made one thing very clear to his Paltan, that we are not an occupation army, we are the people's army. The local intelligence inputs that he got were tremendous. And even this particular incident, Simi, when this particular terrorist came in to meet his father and brother, the intelligence was provided by local people to the police and to the army. Now, since it was his source who gave the information also to the police, they planned an operation. They came to this village while he was deployed elsewhere. He came to this village. The father of this terrorist came out and said, my son wants to surrender. Now, there have been cases of people saying we want to surrender, and they suddenly come out guns blazing. This time proper care was taken. But since this terrorist father was a police constable, he fell at this colonel's feet and said, please let my son surrender. When that did not happen for some time, there was a house break, there was a house entry, and that is the most difficult operation. I have reported on these counter-terrorist operations in Jammu and Kashmir for a decade and a half. Making a house entry is the most difficult thing that you can do in Jammu and Kashmir. And look at this officer. What he could have simply done is follow standard operating procedure, is that before you enter a house, you throw in a couple of grenades, whatever might be inside is destroyed and you stay safe. But he did not do that. He did not throw in a couple of grenades and go in all guns blazing. He very carefully entered the house. There was a brief firefight. He was injured in that. But what was his principal concern? That my men should not be at risk. He saved his men. He came in the way of those hail of bullets. He injured a terrorist in his counter fire. He made the supreme sacrifice of his life. His radio operator was injured, is what senior officers here tell me. But he managed to save several other officers and men in this operation. And in that encounter, that firefight that lasted about 20 minutes, both the terrorists were killed. But unfortunately, he and Head Constable Sanjeev made the supreme sacrifice of their lives.
Right, and Gaurav, we're going to play out those visuals of that gallantry cry to salute the brave soldier. I want you to explain to us what that exactly means. What is the sentiment behind it? What's the tradition behind it?
This is a tradition. This is an age-old tradition in the Gorkha Rifles regiment now, and this is like the biggest regiment in the Indian Army, which comprises officers and men not just from India but men also from Nepal. Ho ki hoina, and you say this thrice. Ho ki hoina, ho ki hoina. Ho, ho, ho. In any conflict, in any combat, there could be some self-doubts. There could be some doubts whether we will be able to achieve the aim or not. So it's in Gurkhali, which says, ho ki hoina. Will it happen or will it not happen? And it's the determination of these boys. It's the determination of the soldiers who say, ho, 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 which means yes, it will happen, it will happen, it will happen. And I was just speaking to his elder brother, who again is a Gorkha Rifles officer, again somebody who served extensively in Jammu and Kashmir, and he said, it's the army ethos. Even your children are dyed in that same wool, and it's that little daughter, all of 11, so moved, so emotionally moved. The first thing that comes to your mind is the Adarsh Vakya or the motto or what you've heard all your life, and that is what she said. Will it happen? Will it not happen? And that is what his brother was explaining to me, that this again is a family which is so dyed in the Gorkha Rifles traditions, that is all that they know, and that is all that comes out from within them.
Gaurav is also with us live from the Brar Square in Delhi Cantera. Gaurav, take us through what's happening there right
Who has just arrived, and General Dalbir Singh will now salute the brave soldier. Let's listen in.
So the pictures that we're getting you of Army Chief General Dalbir Singh Sohag saluting the soldier who laid down his life while fighting militants for the country. Col Maninder Nath Rai is the commanding officer of 42 Rashtriya Rifles. His last rites will be conducted in Delhi today. Extremely emotional scenes we've been witnessing there at the cremation ground. The brave soldier was honoured, remember, with the Yudh Sena Medal on Republic Day just a day before martyred after killing 2 terrorists. The army on Wednesday had paid tribute to the martyr, remembering him as a courageous soldier who led from the front. Dalbir Singh Sohag paying tribute to Col MN Rai, who laid down his life for the country while fighting militants in Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir. Gaurav Sawant is with us. Gaurav, the army coming together as one big family to pay tribute to a brave soldier, someone who's been described as extremely courageous but not reckless.
In fact, even as we speak now, the mortal remains of Col MN Rai, after all the officers have paid their tributes to him, the chief himself, we are told, and all the senior officers will carry his mortal remains to the funeral pyre. And this is really unique in a sense. This is how touched the army is with this act of gallantry. After this, the family will be given a few moments with Colonel Rai's mortal remains. But the aim now is just to ensure that how are casualties brought down. Colonel Rai had actually written about how casualties need to be brought down in Jammu and Kashmir while inflicting maximum pain on the perpetrators of terror, and he had emphasized on the role that intelligence operations will play in this. He had a network in place which again was unique, and the latest incident also where the information came in was courtesy the intelligence inputs about how terrorists can be overpowered or contained with locals supporting the army or the state police for such operations, Simi.
Right, and Gaurav, these are pictures that we're getting you of the army chief meeting family members of Colonel MN Rai. Extremely sad day for the family, but of course also a proud day. Their son is a martyr. He's given up his life for the entire country while fighting militants. Gaurav, you know, Colonel MN Rai died while fighting militants, but not before he killed two Hizbul militants there in Kashmir. His daughter also with that gallantry cry, paying tribute to her father. It's an age-old family tradition, an extremely sad moment for the family, but the entire army coming together to pay their last respects, and they basically showing their solidarity with the family.
This is what the olive green is all about. One for all and all for one. While this may have been a line from the Three Musketeers, but it's actually General Dalbir Singh, the Chief of the Army Staff, spending a moment with the family, and the family is distraught. The family is shattered. The pain, understandable. I was speaking to an officer who was serving along with Col MN Rai, and he was telling me that just the previous day, the entire family was in touch, and they were thinking of celebrating the Yudh Seva medal. This indeed was another moment of joy for the family, because a full colonel rank officer getting a Yudh Seva medal is a matter of immense pride. They were just talking about that celebration of having a grand get together of the entire family. The family, as you well know, in the armed forces, one brother in the CRPF, the other brother a part of the Gurkha family, and in all of this, the family just got shattered in a matter of moments. This firefight lasted just 20 minutes, and in that 20 minutes, their lives changed forever. The family still to come to terms with it, but very clearly that's one reality of an army family that everyone actually knows could happen, but everyone just hopes it just would never happen. The army chief reassuring the family that the army is with the family throughout. But as the eldest brother, Lieutenant Colonel DN Rai, was telling me that it's going to be his responsibility now to ensure that the children are brought up well, they get the best education possible, and then decide what is the next best course for them, Simi.
Playing of Colonel MN Rai's 11-year-old daughter clutching onto a photograph of her father. In fact, you know, Gaurav, this is a family of brave soldiers, and they're extremely shattered. One day it was a day to celebrate, the other day their world came crashing down. And these are the entire family is brave. 3 young sons who dedicated their lives to serve the country, and even this young daughter who's completely broken down. She's sitting next to her father's mortal remains, but even at this time you heard her pay tribute with a gallantry cry. This is a family of Gurkhas. This is a gallantry cry. It's a traditional salute of the Gurkha Rifles. Visuals on your screens are of the family of Colonel MN Rai, his father Nagendra Rai, his mother, Colonel MN Rai's children also there. You're also getting pictures of his 11-year-old daughter desperately trying to clutch onto a photograph of her father as she sits by his mortal remains. Colonel MN Rai's body will now be taken to the funeral pyre. His entire family from a small village of Ghazipur district in Uttar Pradesh has gathered here at Brar Square in Delhi Cant to pay their last respects. Col Maninder Rai, the commanding officer for Rashtriya Rifles, to be cremated after he was martyred along with one policeman in encounter in Tral.
भैया भैया रहने दे मैं कुछ बोल नहीं एक बात तो बोलो कैसे देंगे हम